Zira's quarters were like stepping into another world. Plants filled every corner of the room. They sat on shelves and hung from the ceiling. They grew in pots on the floor and climbed up the walls. Some had flowers in colors Ethan had never seen before. Deep blues that seemed to glow from within. Reds that shifted to orange when he looked at them from different angles. One plant in the corner had leaves that moved slowly back and forth like it was breathing. The air smelled wonderful, fresh and clean and alive. It reminded Ethan of forests back on Earth, of hiking through woods as a child with his grandmother. He had not smelled anything so natural in years. "Your place is amazing," he said. He meant it. Zira smiled at the compliment. Her spots glowed a pleased shade of pink. "Thank you. Plants are my life. I have collected specimens from 17 different worlds. Each one is special to me." She walked to a device built into the wall. It looked like a small cabinet with a glowing panel on the front. "This is the Molecular Restoration Unit. If you give me your shirt, I will have it cleaned in just a few minutes." Ethan realized he would have to take off his shirt. The purple stain had soaked all the way through. His undershirt beneath was wet too, but mostly clean. He pulled the ruined shirt over his head and handed it to Zira. She took it carefully and then seemed to realize what she was looking at. A human male standing in her quarters without a shirt. Her purple skin turned a darker shade. Her spots flickered in what Ethan guessed was embarrassment. "I apologize," she said quickly. "I did not think about how this would look. I did not mean to put you in an awkward position." Ethan smiled. Despite her alien features, her embarrassment was so very human. "It's fine. Really. I'm not uncomfortable if you're not." Zira nodded and turned to put his shirt into the cleaning device. She pressed some buttons and the machine hummed to life. A soft blue light filled the cabinet where his shirt now hung. "It will take about 10 minutes, she said. "Please, make yourself comfortable. Would you like something to drink while you wait?" Ethan looked around and found a chair near a table covered with small potted plants. He sat down carefully, not wanting to knock anything over. "Sure, what do you have?" Zira went to a small kitchen area and returned with 2 glasses filled with a golden liquid. "This is a Valari tea. It is made from flowers that grow on my homeworld. It is sweet and calming. I hope you will like it." The tea was delicious. It tasted like honey mixed with something citrus. There was a warmth to it that spread through his chest in a pleasant way. He told Zira it was very good, and her spots glowed with happiness at his approval. She sat across from him with her own glass. For a moment they simply looked at each other. 2 strangers from different worlds, brought together by a clumsy accident. "I have not talked to many humans before," Zira said. "I have read about your species in the databases. But reading is not the same as meeting someone in person." "What do the databases say about us?" Ethan asked. He was curious what aliens thought of his kind. Zira considered the question. "They say humans are very adaptable, that you can survive in many different environments. They say you are emotional creatures who form strong bonds with others. They also say you can be violent when threatened." She paused. "But they do not capture what it feels like to talk to a human. You are very easy to speak with." "I did not expect that." Ethan laughed softly. "We're not so bad once you get to know us. I am beginning to see that." Zira took a sip of her tea. "May I ask you something personal?" "Go ahead." "Why are you not angry with me? I ruined your clothing." Most beings would be upset. Some would demand payment. Others would yell. But you have been calm and kind since the moment we collided. Why? It was a good question. Ethan thought about it for a moment. "I guess I learned a long time ago that getting angry about accidents doesn't help anyone. You didn't spill that stuff on me on purpose. Being mad at you wouldn't unspill it. So why waste the energy?" Zira's eyes widened slightly. Her spots shifted to a thoughtful green color. "This is a very wise way of thinking. On my world, We have a saying, anger is a fire that burns the one who holds it. Your philosophy is similar. My grandmother used to say something like that, Ethan said. She was a smart woman. They talked more as the cleaning machine worked. Zira asked about Earth. What did the sky look like? What did the ocean smell like? Were there really animals called dogs that lived with humans as friends? Ethan answered her questions the best he could. He found himself enjoying the conversation. Zira was intelligent and curious, and her questions made him think about his home in new ways. The machine chimed. Zira retrieved his shirt and brought it to him. When Ethan touched the fabric, he was amazed. It was perfect. Better than perfect. The stain was completely gone. The shirt felt soft and new, like he had just bought it yesterday instead of wearing it for 5 years. This is incredible, he said. It's like new. I told you Valari technology is very good. Zira looked pleased with herself. But then her expression changed to something more uncertain. I know this may seem strange, but I have enjoyed talking with you very much. I would like to continue our conversation. Would you perhaps join me for dinner? I know a place on the station that serves food humans can eat. Ethan looked at the clock on the wall. He had nowhere he needed to be. His ship would wait. And he realized that he didn't want this conversation to end either. Zira was interesting and kind, and he found himself wanting to know more about her. I'd like that, he said. Zira's spots burst into a bright, happy yellow. She smiled widely, and the expression transformed her face into something beautiful, wonderful. Let me just feed my plants, and then we can go. As Ethan watched her move around the room, adding water and nutrients to her many botanical treasures, he felt something shift inside him. This chance meeting was becoming something more. He didn't know what exactly, but for the first time in a long time, he was excited to find out. He pulled on his restored shirt and followed Zira out into the station. Whatever happened next, he was glad a clumsy alien girl had spilled purple goo all over him. Sometimes the best things in life came from the strangest accidents. Dinner lasted 3 hours. They talked about everything. Zira wanted to know about human history and human art and human food. Ethan wanted to know about Valari culture and Valari families and how her glowing spots worked. The restaurant staff had to ask them twice if they were finished because they kept ordering more drinks just to have an excuse to stay longer. When the restaurant finally closed, they walked through the station together. The corridors were quieter now. Most beings had gone to sleep. The lights had dimmed to simulate nighttime. But neither Ethan nor Zira wanted to say goodbye. They found a large window that looked out into space. Stars filled the blackness like scattered diamonds. A cargo ship moved slowly past, its lights blinking in the darkness. They stood there side by side and watched the universe in comfortable silence. I should let you go back to your ship, Zira said finally. You must be tired. I'm not tired, Ethan said. And it was true. He felt more awake than he had in months. Are you? Zira shook her head. Her spots glowed a soft purple that matched her skin. No, I do not want this night to end. They kept talking. The hours passed without notice. Eventually, they found a small garden area on the station where benches surrounded a fountain. They sat there as the artificial dawn began to brighten the lights overhead. Only then did they realize they had talked through the entire night. I should go check on my plants, Zira said with a yawn. And you should get some sleep. When can I see you again? Ethan asked. The question came out before he could stop it. He felt his face grow warm with embarrassment, but Zira smiled. Her spots glowed pink with pleasure. I would like that very much. Tomorrow evening? We could have dinner again. It's a date, Ethan said. 1 date became 2. 2 became 5. 5 became 10. Every evening that Ethan stayed on the station, he spent with Zira. They explored the marketplace together. They visited the observation decks to watch ships come and go. They tried foods from a dozen different worlds. Zira showed him her laboratory, where she studied her rare plants. Ethan showed her his ship and taught her the names of the different parts. His plan to leave after one day turned into 1 week, then 2 weeks, then a month. He kept finding reasons to stay. A small repair that needed doing. A cargo contract that required him to wait. Excuses that even he knew were thin. The truth was simpler. He did not want to leave Zira. Other beings on the station noticed their relationship. Not everyone approved. Ethan caught dirty looks from some aliens who thought humans should stay with humans. A group of Sorthan merchants made comments about him loud enough for him to hear. They called him a species traitor. They said the Valari girl was lowering herself by spending time with a primitive human. Ethan ignored them. Their opinions did not matter to him. One evening, a large alien with 4 arms blocked his path in a corridor. The alien was Korthan, a species known for being aggressive and proud. His gray skin was covered in scars from old fights. His small eyes looked at Ethan with contempt. "You are the human who courts the Valari female," the Korthan said. His voice was deep and rough. "She is too good for your kind. Leave her alone." Ethan stood his ground. He was shorter than the Korthan by almost a foot. He was less muscular by far, but he did not back down. "My relationship with Zira is none of your business." The Korthan stepped closer. "I am making it my business. Humans think they can go anywhere and take anything. You spread through the galaxy like a disease. You should know your place." "My place is wherever I choose to stand," Ethan said calmly. "Now excuse me. I have somewhere to be." He walked around the Korthan without looking back. His heart was beating fast, but he kept his face calm. He would not give the alien the satisfaction of seeing him afraid. When he told Zira about the encounter, she was worried. Her spots flickered with anxious orange light. "The Korthans are dangerous. You should not make enemies of them." "I didn't make an enemy," Ethan said. "I just refuse to be bullied." "There's a difference." Zira studied his face. "You truly were not afraid of him?" "I was terrified," Ethan admitted. "But I wasn't going to let him see that. And I wasn't going to let him think he could tell me who I can spend my time with." Something changed in Zira's expression then. Her spots shifted to a deep, warm red that Ethan had not seen before. She reached out and took his hand. Her fingers were cool and smooth against his skin. "My people have a tradition," she said softly. "When a Valari finds someone they trust completely, they share a light with them." She lifted her other hand and touched her own cheek, where her spots glowed brightest. "It is a very personal thing, sacred, even. It is only done with those who matter most." Ethan felt his breath catch. "Zira, you don't have to." "I want to," she said. "Close your eyes." He closed his eyes. He felt her hand leave his. Then he felt her fingertips touch his cheeks, very gently. Warmth spread across his face. It was not heat exactly. It was more like sunlight on a spring morning, soft and comfortable and full of life. When he opened his eyes, Zira was looking at him with tears running down her purple cheeks. But she was smiling. Her spots glowed brighter than he had ever seen them. "Now you carry a piece of my light with you," she whispered. "Wherever you go, part of me goes with you." Ethan pulled her close and held her tight. She fit perfectly in his arms, like she had always belonged there. He breathed in the flowery scent of her hair and felt something in his chest that he had not felt in a very long time. He was falling in love. Maybe he had already fallen. Either way, he knew that his life would never be the same. The stars outside the window seemed to shine a little brighter, and the universe seemed a little less cold. The space station called Veritas 7 was always busy. Ships came and went at all hours. Aliens of every shape and color walked through the wide hallways. Some had scales. Some had fur. Some glowed in strange colors. The marketplace at the center of the station was the loudest place of all. Merchants shouted about their goods. Customers argued about prices. The smell of 100 different foods mixed together in the recycled air. Ethan Cole walked through this chaos with his hands in his pockets. He was a human man of 28 years. He had brown hair that needed a cut and tired eyes that had seen too many long nights in space. His clothes were simple. A gray shirt that had been washed so many times it was soft as clouds. A leather jacket that his father had given him years ago. Boots that were scuffed but comfortable. Ethan made his living hauling cargo between star systems. It was not exciting work. He picked up boxes on one planet and delivered them to another. But the pay was decent and the freedom was good. No boss looking over his shoulder. No schedule except the one he made himself. Just him and his ship and the endless black of space. Today, he had finished a delivery of Earth coffee beans. It turned out that many alien species loved caffeine just as much as humans did. A merchant from the Keshan homeworld had paid him well for the shipment. Now Ethan wanted nothing more than a hot meal and maybe a cold drink. Before heading back to his ship, he was thinking about what to eat when someone crashed into him. The impact was hard enough to make him stumble backward. Something wet and cold splashed across his chest. He heard a container hit the floor and crack open. When he looked down, his favorite gray shirt was covered in thick purple liquid. The stain was spreading fast, soaking through the fabric and reaching his skin. The person who had hit him was making sounds of panic. Ethan looked up and saw a young alien woman. She was Valari, a species he had encountered a few times before. Her skin was a soft purple color, like lavender flowers back on Earth. Across her cheeks and nose were small spots that glowed with soft light. Right now, those spots were flashing rapidly between orange and red, which Ethan knew meant she was very upset. She had large eyes the color of amber honey. Her hair, if it could be called hair, was a deeper purple and fell past her shoulders in waves. She wore a simple white coat like a scientist might wear. On the floor around her feet, the broken container leaked more of the purple substance. "I am so sorry," she said. Her voice was musical, with an accent that made her words rise and fall in interesting ways. "I was not looking where I walked. This is completely my fault. I am so very sorry." Ethan looked at his ruined shirt again. He sighed. It was his favorite shirt. He had worn it for years. But getting angry would not fix anything. The shirt was already ruined. Yelling at this clearly distressed alien woman would only make a bad situation worse. "It happens," he said. He tried to keep his voice calm and friendly. "What is this stuff anyway?" The alien woman bent down to gather the broken pieces of her container. "It is a nutrient solution for rare plants. I am a botanist. I study plants from many worlds. I was bringing this to my specimens in the research section." She stood up and looked at his shirt with obvious guilt. "Your garment is destroyed because of my carelessness." "It's just a shirt," Ethan said, though inside he did feel a little sad about it. "No, please," the woman said. Her glowing spots had shifted to a steadier blue color now. "I must make this right. My name is Ziraven. I work here on the station. I have cleaning equipment in my quarters that can fix your shirt completely. Valari technology is very good at restoring damaged materials. Please, let me help." Ethan hesitated. He had heard stories about alien cleaning technology. Sometimes it worked great. Sometimes it made things much worse. He once knew a guy whose jacket came out of an alien cleaning machine, glowing bright green for 3 months straight. But Zira was looking at him with such honest concern in her amber eyes. Her spots pulsed with soft blue light that seemed almost hopeful. She clearly felt terrible about what had happened. And Ethan was not the kind of man who held grudges over accidents. "You sure it won't make things worse?" he asked, Zira nodded quickly. I promise you. The molecular restoration unit in my quarters can return the fibers of your shirt to their original condition. It will be like the stain never happened. Please, I insist on doing this. It is a matter of honor for me. The word honor caught Ethan's attention. He had learned that many alien cultures took honor very seriously. For Zira to use that word meant this was important to her. Refusing might actually be insulting. All right, he said. Lead the way. Zira's face brightened. Her spots glowed a warmer shade of blue. Thank you for allowing me to correct my mistake. Please follow me. My quarters are not far. She led him away from the busy marketplace and into the quieter sections of the station. They passed through corridors lined with doors leading to living spaces. Some areas had windows that looked out into space, showing the distant stars and the slow movement of ships coming and going down as they walked. Zira asked him questions. Where was he from? What did he do for work? How long had he been traveling in space? Her curiosity seemed genuine. She listened to his answers with real interest, her head tilting slightly in a way that reminded Ethan of a curious bird. He found himself answering more openly than he usually did with strangers. There was something about Zira that put him at ease. Maybe it was her honest manner. Maybe it was the way her spots changed color with her emotions, making it impossible for her to hide what she was feeling. Humans could lie with their faces. Zira could not dot by the time they reached her quarters. Ethan realized he had told her more about himself than he had told anyone in months. He also realized that his wet, stained shirt no longer bothered him quite so much. Something about this chance meeting felt different. Important somehow. Like the universe had pushed them together on purpose. But that was silly thinking. It was just a spilled drink and a ruined shirt. Nothing more at least. That was what Ethan told himself as Zira opened the door to her quarters and invited him inside. 2 months after the night Zira shared her light with him, Ethan asked her to come with him. He had stayed on the station as long as he could. His savings were running low. He needed to work. He needed to fly. But the thought of leaving Zira behind felt like a knife in his chest. Come with me, he said. They were sitting in her quarters surrounded by her plants. The flowers seemed to lean toward them as if listening to the conversation. We can travel together. See the galaxy together. You can study plants from dozens of worlds instead of just the ones you find here. Zira was quiet for a long moment. Her spots shifted through many colors. Purple, blue, green, yellow. She was thinking hard about his offer. My research position here is important to me, she said slowly. I have spent years building my collection, my reputation among Velari scientists. If I leave, I may not be able to return to this work. Ethan nodded. He understood. I would never ask you to give up something you love. But I also cannot stay here forever. I have to fly. It's who I am, I know. Zira reached out and took his hand. And I would not want you to be anyone other than who you are. That is why I love you. It was the first time either of them had used that word. Love. It hung in the air between them like a precious thing. Fragile and powerful at the same time. I love you too, Ethan said. Whatever you decide, that will not change. Zira did not give him an answer that night. Or the next night. For 5 days she was quiet and thoughtful. Her spots stayed a muted gray color that told Ethan she was deep in contemplation. He did not pressure her. This was her choice to make. On the 6th day, Zira came to his ship carrying a large container. Behind her floated a small hovering cart stacked with pots and planters. Her spots glowed a bright, determined blue. I spoke with my family on the homeworld, she said. They do not approve of my choice. They think I'm making a mistake. But this is my life to live, not theirs. Ethan felt his heart jump. You're coming with me? I am coming with you. She smiled, and her whole face seemed to glow. Now help me find places for my plants. They need proper light and water schedules. The next few hours were chaos. Ethan's ship, which he had named the Copper Penny after a human superstition about lucky coins, was not large. It had a cockpit, a common room, a small kitchen, one bedroom, and a cargo hold. Finding space for nearly 50 plants was a challenge, but somehow they made it work. Plants hung from the ceiling of the common room. They sat on shelves in the kitchen. The bedroom gained a wall of greenery that made it feel like sleeping in a forest. Even the cockpit had a small fern next to the navigation console. When they were finished, the ship felt completely different. It felt alive. The air smelled fresher. The recycled oxygen system ran more efficiently, with the plants helping to clean the air. Ethan had lived on this ship for 6 years. It had always felt like a machine. Now it felt like a home. Their first journey together took them to a human colony called New Cascade. It was a young world, still being settled. Farmers struggled to grow earth crops in the alien soil. The colony needed agricultural equipment, and Ethan had a contract to deliver it. Zira was nervous as they approached the planet. She had never visited a human world before. What if they do not accept me? She asked. Humans are kind to each other. But I am not human. You'll be fine, Ethan assured her. These are good people. He was right. The colonists welcomed Zira with open arms. They were fascinated by her and her plants. They asked her questions about Valari botany for hours. Several farmers brought her samples of their struggling crops and asked for advice. Zira examined the soil and the seeds and offered suggestions that made the farmers nod with understanding. By the second day, Zira had more friends in the colony than Ethan did. She spent hours in the fields helping farmers understand how to adapt their techniques. Her knowledge of alien plants gave her insights that human scientists had missed. One farmer, an older woman named Grace, told Ethan that Zira had solved a problem they had been struggling with for 2 years in just one afternoon. You've got yourself a special one there, Grace said, watching Zira explain something to a group of young farmers. Hold on to her. I plan to, Ethan said. When they left New Cascade, Zira had 3 different job offers from the colony. She had politely refused them all. I have found my place, she told Ethan as they flew into the stars. It is here with you. They traveled for months after that. Each world brought new challenges and new adventures. They hauled cargo to mining stations and delivered medical supplies to remote outposts. They traded goods between species who did not trust each other and carried messages for beings who could not travel themselves. Ethan taught Zira how to fly the ship. She was a quick learner. Her hands were gentle on the controls, and she had a natural feel for the movement of the vessel. He taught her how to read star charts and how to plot courses through dangerous space. Zira improved the ship in ways Ethan had never imagined. She turned part of the cargo hold into a small greenhouse. The plants there produced fresh vegetables and fruits for them to eat. Other plants cleaned the air and water more efficiently than any machine. She even cultivated a species of moss that absorbed and recycled waste, reducing the ship's maintenance needs. They learned how to share a small space without driving each other crazy. They learned each other's habits and quirks. Ethan snored lightly when he slept on his back. Zira hummed to herself when she was happy. He liked his coffee strong and black. She preferred sweet tea that she made from flowers she grew herself. They fought sometimes, as all couples do. Small disagreements about where to go or what jobs to take. But they always worked through their problems with patience and honesty. Zira's inability to hide her emotions made lying impossible. Ethan's calm nature kept arguments from growing too heated. In every way that mattered, they became partners. Not just in love, but in life. Two beings from different worlds who had built something beautiful together. But the universe was not always kind, and danger was waiting for them in the darkness between the stars. The trouble found them at a lonely trading post near the edge of known space. The station was called Farpoint, and it sat in a region filled with asteroids and debris from ancient cosmic collisions. Most ships avoided this area. It was dangerous to navigate and far from any help if something went wrong. But Farpoint offered good prices for certain rare goods. Ethan had heard about a merchant there who paid triple rates for the exotic fruits from Zira's greenhouse. The risk seemed worth the reward. They docked without any problems. The station was small and rough. Paint peeled from the walls. The air recyclers wheezed and coughed. The beings who lived here were hard people who had chosen to exist on the edges of civilization. The trouble started when they tried to leave. Korthan warship blocked their departure path. Then another appeared. And another. Before long, 6 armed vessels surrounded the station. Escape was impossible. A message came through on all communication channels. The voice was cold and amused. "This is Drax Volum. I am the lord of this region. All ships that pass through my territory must pay tribute. Your fee is 10,000 credits. You will also surrender the Valari female as collateral until your debt is fully paid." Ethan felt ice run through his veins. He looked at Zira. Her spots had gone completely dark. Her face was pale with fear. She knew what the Korthans did to their captives. Everyone knew. The stories were whispered across the trade routes like horror tales told to frighten children. "That's not going to happen," Ethan said into the communicator. Drx Volum laughed. The sound was ugly. "You misunderstand, human. This is not a request. Surrender the female or your ship will be destroyed. You have 1 hour to decide." The communication ended. Silence filled the cockpit. "Ethan," Zira said softly, "perhaps you should do as he asks. Your life is more important than—" "No." The word came out sharp and hard. "I will never surrender you to them. Never. Do you understand? But there are 6 ships. We cannot fight them. We cannot outrun them. What can we do?" Ethan was already working at the navigation console. His fingers moved fast across the controls. His mind raced through possibilities. He had flown through dangerous space before. He knew tricks that most pilots never learned. And he knew something else. He knew that he would rather die than let anyone take Zira from him. "I need you to go to the engine room," he said. "I need more power. At least 30% more than normal. Can you do that?" Zira nodded. Her spots flickered back to life with a determined blue glow. "I can try. The plants in the engine room have been enhancing the systems. I might be able to boost their output." "Do it." "And Zira?" He turned to look at her. "I love you. I love you too." She kissed him quickly and then ran toward the back of the ship. Ethan studied the star charts. The asteroid field around Farpoint was dense and treacherous. Large rocks tumbled through space in unpredictable patterns. Gravity wells from heavy asteroids created eddies and currents that could throw a ship off course. Most pilots avoided the field entirely, but Ethan was not most pilots. He fired the engines and shot away from the station. The Korthan ships immediately gave chase. Weapons fire streaked past the Copper Penny, missing by meters. Alarms screamed as the ship detected targeting. Locks from multiple enemies. Ethan dove into the asteroid field. The next 3 hours were the longest of his life. He flew like he had never flown before. The Copper Penny twisted and spun between massive rocks. Ethan used every trick he knew. He flew close to large asteroids to mask his signature. He used gravity wells to slingshot around corners. He cut engines and drifted silently while Korthan ships searched for him nearby. The extra power from Zira's modification saved them again and again. When a Corthan ship got close enough to fire, the boosted engines gave Ethan the burst of speed he needed to escape. The old ship groaned and shuddered under the strain, but it held together. One by one, the Corthan ships fell. One flew too close to a tumbling asteroid and was crushed. Another collided with a third ship when Ethan led them through a narrow gap at full speed. A fourth tried to cut him off and flew directly into a gravity well that pulled it into a cluster of rocks. The remaining 2 ships fled. They had lost half their squadron to a single cargo hauler. Their pride was broken. They had no stomach to continue the fight. Ethan flew the damaged copper penny out of the asteroid field and into clear space. His hands were shaking. Sweat dripped down his face. Every muscle in his body ached from the tension of the chase. The cockpit door opened. Zira rushed in and threw her arms around him. She was crying. Her spots glowed every color at once, cycling through emotions too fast to name. "You did it," she sobbed. "You saved us." Ethan held her tight. "I told you, I would never let them take you." They stayed like that for a long time. 2 souls clinging to each other in the aftermath of terror. Outside the window, the stars burned cold and distant. But inside the battered little ship, there was warmth. There was love. There was home. Later, when they had found a safe place to make repairs, Zira asked him a question. "Why did you risk so much for me? You could have surrendered me. You could have lived. Why did you choose to fight?" Ethan thought about the question. He thought about his grandmother and the things she had taught him. He thought about what it meant to be human, about the capacity for both destruction and love that lived inside every person, about the choices that defined who someone really was. "Because some things are more important than survival," he finally said. "You taught me that. Your people have honor. Well, so do mine. And my honor says that I protect the people I love, no matter what." Zira's spots glowed that deep, warm red again. The color of complete trust. The color of forever. "My people say that the galaxy is cold and empty, that we are all alone in the darkness between stars. But they are wrong. I am not alone. I have you." Ethan smiled and kissed her forehead. "And I have you. That's all I need." They flew on into the endless night. A human and a Valari. 2 beings from different worlds who had found something precious in each other. Love, partnership, a reason to keep going. When the universe tried to tear them apart, the galaxy was vast and often cruel. There would be more dangers ahead, more challenges to face, more enemies who thought they could take what was not theirs. But Ethan and Zira would face them together. They had proven that already. Against impossible odds, they had survived. Against those who said they did not belong together, they had built a life, and that was the most human thing of all. To love fiercely, to fight for that love, to refuse to surrender, even when surrender seemed like the only choice. Humanity had come to the stars with all their flaws and all their strengths. They were young among the galactic species. They were sometimes violent and often foolish. But they were also brave and loyal and capable of love that crossed the boundaries between worlds. Ethan Cole was just one human. But in his own small way, he had shown the galaxy what humanity could be. And somewhere in the vast darkness of space, a little ship called the Copper Penny carried 2 hearts that beat as one. Flying toward whatever came next, dot together, dot always together.